All right, guys. So, what if I told you that there is a stock that acts like a rock solid, reliable foundation to a portfolio, pays a very nice dividend just for owning it, and even has future growth potential from directly powering the single biggest technological revolution of our lifetime in artificial intelligence? Plus, on top of all of that, it's trading at a discount. Well, I have such a stock for you today that I've been buying heavy recently myself, and that is Next Era Energy, ticker symbol NEE, who in today's video, I'm going to break down exactly why I choose to own this stock myself. So smash that like button if you enjoy this. Let's go ahead and jump into it, my friends. All right, now, what is it about their business that I love so much in the first place? Well, I would say, first of all, this is not only one of the biggest utilities in America by market cap, it's actually the largest, but it's also the largest generator of wind and solar energy in the entire world, meaning that they not only benefit from all the growth and expansion to be had from renewable energy, but by serving millions of customers as a regulated utility through Florida Power and Light, they also benefit from controlled rates by the government, meaning that they get to operate in a much more predictable environment with steady, reliable demand. Because people always need to turn on their lights, run the AC, charge their phones. So this creates a consistent, recession-resistant cash flow stream, again, at regulated rates that the company can then depend on over time. In other words, with a stock like this, you benefit from both stability as well as higher growth that you wouldn't typically expect from a utility. Case in point, both their sales and profits typically break new record highs each year, with continued growth at around a double-digit rate expected in each of the next few years by analyst expectations too. But all of that isn't even the most exciting part for me. Where I think Next Era really has a huge opportunity for growth longer term is empowering artificial intelligence. Now, obviously, the AI boom is no secret out there, right? Most pure play AI stocks have been skyrocketing these past few years. But where I think there's still a lot of opportunity for investment is in the mind blowing amount of electricity that this revolution requires, really, and which energy companies are going to be there and be capable of meeting that insane level of demand. For example, training a single AI model alone is estimated to use, get this guys, as much electricity as 100 US homes through an entire year. And so the data centers that will actually house these AI models are, in my opinion, going to slowly become like energy black holes, sending energy demand skyrocketing longer term. For example, Meta alone just signed a contract with Enbridge to buy 100% of their solar generated energy from a new nearly $1 billion facility to power some of their own AI data centers. And I think Next Era will start to land some of these bigger deals too over time, given their massive size, their scale, and their strategic positioning to become the premier power supplier for the AI industry. And here's how I think it'll go down. First off, this is a company that is laser focused on data center customers and are actively building a massive backlog of projects specifically for tech and data center clients. Their CEO has repeatedly stated that this demand is a primary driver for their future growth, and they're building the power infrastructure right now for that AI future. Last quarter, for example, their resources division grew sales by over 16% and expanded its backlog to more than 10 gigawatts of power because of AI and data center demand. The CEO also gave an interview with Bloomberg last year where he said, "We've had tech companies come to us and say, can you show us sites that can accommodate 5 gigawatts of demand?" That's the size of powering the city of Miami. How crazy is that? Well, they added almost that amount alone to their backlog just in the last quarter. Like just in one quarter alone, they added, I think it was like over 3 gigawatts, and it's reaching now a total for their backlog of almost 30 gigawatts, which is kind of crazy. Secondly, though, they have an all of the above approach to energy that is crucial for supplying data centers that need power 24/7, 365 days a year, and cannot afford for power to go down. These data centers need to be constantly running. Well, while Next Era is a leader in renewables, they also understand that a diversified portfolio is key to reliability. And that's why they're investing heavily into multiple forms of energy, including, not just solar and wind, but also oil, natural gas, and crucially for AI, nuclear power too. That is, at least at the moment, probably the only viable option to supply as much energy as AI will ultimately require here while keeping emissions low still. Well, that brings me to reason number three, as Nexera not only already has existing nuclear capacity, but the CEO has even hinted a couple months ago that they're looking at smaller nuclear companies to possibly acquire, specifically those that focus on SMRs, which are small modular reactors that will likely be the future of nuclear energy starting in the 2030s. You're going to probably see that ramp up. Look out into the 2030s. SMRs are going to become, I think, a much bigger deal. Now, for now, though, NextEra is in the process of restarting its Duane Arnold nuclear power plant in Iowa, while still leveraging the rest of their renewables portfolio to lead the way in clean energy. So keep in mind, guys, tech giants like Microsoft, Google, Meta, and Amazon have all made huge sustainability commitments. In other words, they want massive power, but they need it to still be clean and renewable so that they don't face all that major backlash from the media and all those really vocal, I would say the really vocal like environmentalist community that would like heavily criticize them if all of a sudden they start drawing all this power, but it's not, it's not clean, it's not renewable. Well, what better way to do that than to partner with what is literally the largest generator of wind and solar in the entire world? I mean, it just makes perfect sense. And yet, despite all of those positives, the stock price has actually been strongly suppressed lately. In fact, despite most AI related stocks, even many energy stocks too, skyrocketing this past year, NextEra is actually negative over that time. And it's also down about a quarter of its value from their highs, trading even lower today than they did around 5 years ago. Now, why is that? Well, there's a few reasons that we could point to, but just kind of for the sake of time for this video, keep it a little on the shorter side. I'm just going to touch on probably the most recent hurdle that they've kind of faced, which was the Trump administration's new so-called big beautiful bill that rolled back several clean energy incentives from the previous Inflation Reduction Act. But while those moves are a concern here for a major player like this, here in the shorter term, it doesn't really have much to do with what is my, I would say, overall kind of bull thesis long term on the stock, which is again just the massive amounts of energy that is needed longer term that I feel NextEra is just in the perfect position to supply and benefit from all of that demand. Not to mention that I actually think those cuts may end up squeezing out smaller competitors that can't afford to adjust in this environment the same way that a giant like NextEra can, thus opening up even more potentially market share and demand for them to capitalize on even further. Regardless, though, what I know for a fact is that the stock dip has now left the valuation dirt cheap for what historically has always traded like a premium growth stock, where the PE ratio now sits around 20 to 40% cheaper than their 5-year average, while the PEG ratio is even lower than the sector median too. No way should a world leader like this ever be trading cheaper than the sector. That just doesn't make any sense. And perhaps best of all is that it's also raised the dividend yield up above 3% too, which carries some excellent growth metrics on it. In fact, it's actually considered a dividend aristocrat, having grown their dividend every single year for nearly 3 decades in a row, with also carrying an affordable payout ratio and a double-digit growth rate. And I'll tell you guys right now that anytime I see this yield rising above that 3% level there, that 3% mark, it's kind of an automatic buy for me because I just think that the market will eventually correct for that by sending the stock price higher so that the yield goes down. And by the way, another thing that I didn't even really touch on in this video, but I'll just kind of quickly mention for you now, is that, you think about how, like, what's the biggest thing that everyone is kind of concerned about right now in the market, right? It has to do with like tariffs, right? Everybody's like, very, very worried about tariffs right now. Well, how much more important does that make also a domestic energy company like this here in America? I think it's a big deal too, especially since the American government plans to invest hundreds of billions of dollars on AI too, which would only boost demand even further for a company like this. So anyway, I just see so many positives about a company like this that actually has their stock price, like I said, looking pretty low, pretty attractive at the valuation. But hey, those are just my own thoughts on this. As always, of course, you got to do your own research and make your own decisions. I'm not telling you what to do, just sharing my opinion, what I do myself. But let me know if you like this stock, and let me know if you own it yourselves too. This has been, I would say, right along with Duke Energy, my two favorite energy stocks that I've been buying quite a bit of this year. So I really like it. But hey, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Let me know, guys. What do you think? And thanks again for stopping by, everyone. I hope that you're all doing well. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend. I'll catch you in the next video. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.